Somalia, which is on the Horn of Africa, has an estimated population of 18 million people. It's a young population with more than 70% of all Somalis under the age of 30 years. Even with this youthful and large population, less than 20% of Somali's school-aged population is in school, one of the lowest rates of school enrollment in the world. Somali's school infrastructure was decimated by 3 decades of chronic insecurity, widespread violence, and recurrent droughts and floods. To better support the country's economic development and growth, Somalia needs to rebuild its educational system and capacity for learning.
The Somali federal government is developing strategies to improve educational attainment, including accelerated basic education, or ABE, which uses a compressed curriculum to reduce the amount of time students spend in class, generally by half. If accelerated basic education is effective, it can provide a way for out-of-school children and youth to gain access and then to complete education more rapidly. This is especially important for children and youth in Somalia who previously had limited access to education.
The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, is supporting Somalia's efforts to increase access to tuition-free education for Somali children and youth. USAID funded the 5-year Accelerated Basic Education Program in targeted Somali states called Baro, or Baro, and contracted a multidisciplinary, multinational evaluation team to evaluate the outcomes of the program. The evaluation team was led by Bardous University's Evaluation and Learning Research Center, ELRC, in collaboration with the Resilient Africa Network Plan in Kampala, Uganda, and the Somali Research and Development Institute, SORDI, in Mogadishu, Somalia.
Specifically, on the BAP evaluation, we examined questions pertaining to 3 main areas. 1, we examined the learner's access, retention, safety, and the learning outcomes. 2, we examined the effects of the learner, family, community, and the program differences on the learning outcomes of diverse learners. And thirdly, we examine the lessons learned that can be used to inform improvements in the education system within the Somalia context. The external evaluation followed a cohort of learners from BAP as well as formal primary schools over a period of 2 school years. The team collected data through focus group discussions, in-depth interviews, and surveys with teachers, head teachers, parents, and learners to examine learner outcomes as well as document best practices across the ABE program. Data was also collected from interviews with community leaders, government officials, and implementers to examine the levers, barriers, and success at both community and school levels.
Generally, the BAB program proved effective in enhancing access to education, especially for older children and youth in Somalia who lack the resources to attend fee-based schools. They did this by increasing the number of available tuition-free classes in participating communities. While BAB retained students at about the same rate as formal primary schools over 2 years, both types of schools retained fewer than half of their students during this 2-year period. Key barriers to retention for all students included sickness, the need to contribute to family subsistence, and migration. BAB achieved positive learning outcomes in literacy and numeracy that exceeded formal primary gains and fostered overwhelming student desire to continue their education. Both BAB and formal primary school students identified as hopeful, with significant increases in their perceptions of hope over one academic year. This is notable, as hope, which means a positive outlook for one's future, is consistently identified with positive learning predictors and is also protective against violent ideologies. Our evaluation found that both BAB and formal primary student learning outcomes were influenced by location type, with students attending school in under-resourced schools located in internally displaced person camps being disadvantaged in every educational outcome. Predictably, students from more resource-limited families were more at risk for dropout and lower achievement than their more affluent peers. Student age also predicted student outcomes, with older students scoring significantly higher on both math and literacy assessments than their younger classmates. However, older students were also more at risk to leave school early, oftentimes to help support their families.
The BAB external evaluation provides a wealth of information that can inform education reform and policy in Somalia.
Overall, our evaluation revealed key attributes that can foster school success, including intentional community engagement that enhances program effectiveness and sustainability, flexible education models that meet the unique needs of students and their communities, and holistic capacity strengthening that includes all government and community stakeholders as full partners. Our evaluation highlights the critical contribution of third-party research-based evaluation in generating evidence that informs learning, improvement, collaboration, and scale-up.